Merry Christmas. A lot of people will attend a Christmas Eve service. We're going to tell you why on this episode. Well, Dad, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Why do you have a why do you have a candle in your hand?
Because we're talking about Christmas Eve services.
Yeah, yeah. I got mine in a bowl.
Yes.
Don't you like mine in a bowl? But you know what, Sam? It's not only traditional Christmas Eve service. It is an I Love Florida service.
What does that candle smell like Florida?
Yeah, it smells like white sand.
Oh, I didn't know white sand had a smell.
Correct.
Because it could, is that a red tide candle? Because you don't want to mess with that smell.
No dead fish smell. Nope. It's a neutral smell, but I thought it'd be good for a Christmas Eve candle.
So this episode is supposed to air on Christmas Eve, and
Mm.
I know a lot of people are going to
I'm
be
looking to see
attending.
if the flame just kind of goes with the flow here. Mm, mm,
So
mm.
Christmas Eve services should have a classic feel. I think most people are expecting a traditional service at Christmas Eve. Would you agree?
Oh, I would totally agree. And even the dyed-in-the-wool non-traditionalists, if there's such things, that almost sounds like an oxymoron.
I think at this point you can say that. We've had
Yes,
this whole modern church thing long enough to say the dyed in the wool non-traditionalists. I think that's a
dyed-in-the-wool.
fair statement.
Well, the dyed-in-the-wool non-traditionalists will always want a traditional service, just like everybody else wants a traditional
I
service.
I
In
think
other words, it's almost with unanimity.
yeah, I think it would a rare
Unanimity.
person. Yes, you said that right.
Unanimity. Yeah,
Unanimity.
unanimity. Yes.
I think rare is the person who would say, "I want something avant-garde at Christmas
Yeah,
Eve."
yeah.
I want something
I don't
super
want it.
creative,
Yeah, I don't
something
want
we've
any of
never
them
done
cards.
before.
Avant's not a friend of mine, so no, I don't like either of those.
And have candlelight services. Have can that so this is part of tradition. It's the
Yes,
first point I wanna make.
it's a part of our tradition too. It's not just a part of other churches, it's a part of the Rainer tradition.
It is, and we're gonna tell that story at the end.
Yes.
So save your thought. So
Okay.
why do people love classic Christmas Eve services? I think tradition is part of it, and I think and this is tradition's not all bad. That it's not always a bad thing. Sometimes we talk about tradition as if it's a bad thing. I don't think it's always a bad thing. I think traditional Christmas Eve services are a great opportunity. I think they're
Mo
contextual.
Most people have good childhood memories. Not all, but most people have good childhood memories of things that happened at Christmas. Even if they didn't have good homes, there's something that happened at Christmas that sends warmth through them. And hey, you got Hallmark movies too.
Eh. Hey, I know one child that does not have good memories of Christmas Eve,
Who's that?
a Christmas Eve service. It was at a former church of mine, and a brother lit his sister's hair on
Ooh,
fire. She had a lot of hairspray in it or what have you, or some
ooh,
some sort of product that
ugh.
her hair went up in flames.
Oh,
And
wow.
I kinda saw it out of the corner of my eye and wondered what was going on. Mom's over there, like, with her jacket or whatever, putting the fire out. Do you know do you know how badly burnt hair smells?
No, I can't say that I do, Sam.
It it stunk up the entire worship space.
Well, I'm more concerned about the little girl, Sam. I don't care what it smells like.
She was fine. She was
Okay,
rather angry at her little brother, but
I
she
can
was
get
fine.
that. Well, you got Christmas Eve, part of tradition, and if you do it well, it'll probably be brief too.
Yes, don't do a long Christmas Eve service,
Oh god, you'll
please.
be setting a lot of people's hairs
Please.
on fire.
45 minutes. I think that needs to be a good target. So what does brief mean? I would say 45 minutes for most services. I think that's a really good time frame.
I
What do you
agree.
think?
I I agree.
You could probably go as short as 30 and still be okay.
You could, and that would mean that your sermon or whatever you do has to be very, very brief if you do one at all.
Yeah, and I will say the gospel can be presented in a short time frame. So
It's,
make sure you present the gospel, make them brief, make these services brief, but don't forget the gospel. Share the gospel.
it's really weird doing a YouTube recording with the candle burning and It's just I just like you really got a candle burning.
I do, and, I'm gonna keep it all the way until the end, and when we get to the end, people will know why.
Definitely, and you'll have so much fun
And
with
here's
it.
here's the problem with the long Christmas Eve service, people are, like, burning candles here.
Yes,
Like, you're getting that wax all over the
Sam,
pews.
Sam, just have them handed out right before you light the flame. Don't hand
Well,
it out ahead of time.
that's true, that's true. Hey, the other thing that I wanna say, another reason why people love classic Christmas Eve services is they are nostalgic. So there is a difference between tradition and nostalgia, although they're very much connected, but I'll just add there's a nostalgic effect with Christmas Eve services, and again, I think that's a good thing. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's more opportunity than it is anything else.
You know, there's an occasional opposition to Christmas decorations, Christmas trees, because we're supposed to be pluralistic instead of one religion in U.S. Yada yada yada, all that kind of stuff. But you know, many times those who will say, "I want the traditional Christmas Eve, I want the traditional manger scene," are not even Christians. It's a part of the nostalgia that
Nostalgia.
they remember, which can become a beeline to the gospel as well.
Well, yeah, but you do know that Christmas trees were originally pagan symbols.
I know, I know, you love to mention that.
And it's funny to me that our churches are full of pagan symbols as we celebrate the birth of
Well, I
Christ.
look, we're not gonna go here, but I remember your first church, and it had more pagan symbols than it did Bibles in it.
Greek mythology in
Yes.
there.
Yeah, and a lot of, let's say, cattywampus Catholicism.
Yes. Yeah, that's a really good way to say it. It was Baptist and Catholic.
Yes.
It was and I know that confuses a lot of people, but it is possible.
It confused me every time I came in there. I don't ever can't figure out this day how they got church of the year.
Jesus Jesus was still on the cross
Oh,
at my
yes.
first church.
Yes, he was.
It crucifixes in there. I remember.
Crucifixion, no empty cross there.
And just for the sake of our listeners, I asked the question. I said, "Why do we have crucifixes in this Baptist church?" And they said, "Well, the only bookstore is a Catholic bookstore, so that's
That's
the only
true.
church decorations we can get in this
And that was
area."
before Lifeway closed their stores, so yeah.
That's true. So they're part of tradition. So why do people love these things? They're part of tradition. They're brief. They're nostalgic, and they are for the whole family. And like you said, not just Christian families. You're going to get a lot of non-Christians, unchurched people coming to Christmas Eve services. So family oriented is another reason why I believe people love a classic service.
Yep. And people are very comfortable at Christmas Eve services. They don't feel like they need to know the church and the what the church does and how they worship and how they will fit in because they know that they're going to a comfortable, traditional, and nostalgic Christmas Eve service. And so they're guest friendly.
Yeah, please be guest friendly. You will likely have uh it's the service where you're going to have the most guests of any one service throughout the year,
And
even
shame
more
on you
than
if you
Easter.
don't have a Christmas Eve service.
Yeah, I've got a buddy of mine. He is the he's my co-host on my other podcast that I don't do with you, and he doesn't have a Christmas Eve service, and I remind him about that every year, and I think it's
Wow.
wrong. I think
Yes.
it's wrong. Josh, Joe Wiki, don't know if you're watching. You need to have a Christmas Eve service.
Oh
You're
yeah,
gonna
Josh.
have
I'm with my son on that one. Do it, Josh.
a so you got to tell your story
Well, it's really
about
your story,
the
and
flame.
it's one of humiliation.
Mhm.
Uh, I did a series of interim pastorates when I was a dean at Southern Seminary, and uh, on one particular interim pastorate, the three sons came to two or three of the services because it was in the area near Louisville, Kentucky, Mount Washington to be specific. Happened to be the place where Sam met his wife, or at least where I arranged for them to have their first blind date. But before that happened, we were doing the typical candlelight service. And I didn't, sometimes you don't know what you do when you do these things. And I didn't realize that I had this hokey ending to these services that I had. I probably did it every time I've done a Christmas Eve service, but my three sons now adult age or older anyway. I think you were 22-ish or 21-ish, and Jess would have
Mhm.
been 18. So that's the range of the three sons, 18 to 22. And so they've gone from admiring their dad and seeing their dad and just this incredible positive light to just loving it when they can make fun of me anytime that they can. And on this
We're
particular
still in that phase.
you have not left that phase since that particular time, even though I introduced you to your wife. In that particular setting, candlelight was done. They passed around. Everybody had the candles lit. And after it was over, I said these words, and they will never let me live them down. You may extinguish the flame.
You may now extinguish
Okay, I
the
left out that.
flame.
I
That's
hear that
that's how you said it.
every Christmas. Well, it
Merry
was
Christmas, guys. What's your favorite part of Christmas Eve services? Tell us in the comments section below. By the way, you can get a free 30-day trial of our silver membership at Church Answers. There's a link below. And like this video, hit subscribe. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to be connected more to you. Also, make sure you check out that link below where you can get connected to 1,800 church leaders for free. Again, 30-day free trial. Go check us out at churchanswers.com where we are growing healthy churches together.
tell people to respect their parents.